welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
Semester is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes. Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode number 160. As always, you can give this podcast a listen on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, as well as many various other platforms. Give us a look on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page, as well as the Instagram page. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Serial Sensei, and you can also follow my co-host on Twitter at GCZeus. And speaking of, as always, I'm joined with my co-host, the Anti-Cool. What's going on, man?
Not much. I am very tired.
Yeah.
It's the end of the semester for me, so I have like 20 pages of paper to do, and 6 of them are due by tomorrow, so once we're done, I'm going to be sitting at this computer for 12 hours, procrastinating, doing that.
Yeah, crunch time. Super crunch time. And last night didn't help either. That card felt really, really long.
It's been a while since we had one that ended past midnight that was on ESPN.
Yeah, I think we've been spoiled a little bit. Like, I thought, like, oh, it starts at 9, we'll be out by, 11:15.
Yeah, because haven't the previous, I could be wrong, but haven't like the previous UFC on ESPN cards been like 4 fight main event or main cards, or am I like tripping?
I think most of them have been.
Reyes.
And this one was 6.
Versus Weidman. Let me see.
They kept us here for
No, the last one was 6.
Really?
Yeah, but it was on ESPN too.
The pacing or something was off last night. God, that card was dragging. And the thing is, like, there were finishes, and it just still felt like a really long night. That
probably had a lot to do with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you got feeling airtime, I guess.
Yeah.
But we pick a card to come back on. But we'll.
What a weekend! What a weekend!
Yeah.
It's been a weird ass weekend for heavyweights.
I'll save it. We'll get to it. Yeah, heavyweights. I was surprised when I looked at the Joshua Vs card. I was like, oh, undercard, all heavyweights.
Mm-hmm. All juicers.
I was gonna say, I know what I'm not watching.
I mean, they're like really good. Like, well, really good might be. Well, they are some of the top heavyweights in the world, though. Povetkin, Dylan White, Michael Hunter, I guess, earned that when he fought Povetkin last night, but we'll get to that, I guess.
Yeah. But real quick before we move along, as always, shout outs to the listeners. Please share with a friend, coworker, family member, UPS worker,
ex-lover.
Anybody else. There you go. Ex-lover, current lover, future lover,
side lover.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the side lover needs all the distractions. So.
Yeah, you're not spending all your time with them. They need something to do when you're not there.
There you go. So if you got a side chick or a side dude, side whatever, send them this way. But don't get us involved in whatever you got going on. We're just trying to entertain and keep them company while you go do what you do.
No, I want to be involved. Tell us all the dirt.
You'll be our What's on Your Mind segment. We'll just give you a whole segment on the show. You can spill all the beans. But top listeners for the week. Number 1, Mountain View, California. Number 2, San Marcos, California. Number 3, Santa Ana, California. Number 4, Kensington, United Kingdom. And number 5, kind of funny because I think these guys have a card coming up either early next year, I think. Auckland, New Zealand.
Hey.
So There we go. Shouts to you guys. Appreciate it. As always, keep sharing, posting. Twitter folk, Tumblr folk, wherever you are. We appreciate you. So yeah, it's been a little bit since we have last recorded. We last recorded, I think, before Thanksgiving, right?
When was the last card? It was Blachowicz versus Jacare, which is just a fuzzy fucking haze to me.
Yeah.
It feels like it was years ago.
It was like 2 weeks. But I think that was right before Thanksgiving.
That was the 16th.
Yeah. So it's been a little bit. It's been a smidgen. So well, how was your holiday, real quick? Well, even though we're really late, but we haven't recorded since then.
It was fine. I went to Delaware, saw my grandma, my dad, my cousins, my aunt. It was really nice. We played what's the card version of bingo called? Pacino? Something like that.
I don't know. It's a card version of bingo.
Yeah, it's literally exactly what it seems like. You flip a card, and if it's on your board, you put your little chip down. And I lost like $1.50.
No replays of that one.
We were playing with nickels. Literally everybody won until me. Yeah, so it was that type of thing.
Yeah, holidays were cool for me. I made it to my dad's house a little later than what I wanted to, but still got a chance to, I got my peach cobbler, had my meatballs, my mac and cheese. I had some stuffing that was mixed with shrimp and crab, and it was amazing. And I'm not even really like a stuffing guy, but yeah, I need that again. I definitely need that again. Real quick, brief rant on Delaware. Speaking of, I found out the other day that I have 2 tickets from Delaware. Allegedly, I ran 2 tolls that I didn't know about.
Damn.
So, and I'll say to you guys, Delaware is a setup. I'll make this real quick, and then we'll move on. So, from where I live, I have to drive, the way to drive to Delaware, at least the quickest way. I was going to the Christiana Mall. So, I can take the highway pretty much straight there. But, like, from where I live to go that route, you have to cross a bridge to get to Delaware, and then that's toll. And then there's another toll, literally like 10 minutes later. So, 2 tolls within like 20 minutes of each other. So I paid the first toll. I think that one was like $4 or $6, something like that. And then I'm driving, and I see the other toll. Keep in mind, I've never been to this mall, so I don't know where I'm going. I'm just following what my GPS tells me. My GPS tells me, stay left, I stay left. So I stay left. I notice to the right that there are like toll booths, but it looks like those toll booths are going in like another direction. And I'm like, well, that's not where I'm going, so I'm staying left like my GPS is telling me to. And I don't know if I was in the easy pass lane. I don't know what happened. But yeah, I got 2 tickets in the mail because I had to take that route going and coming back. So yeah, and they're not cheap. Let's just say there's gonna be some people who might not get some Christmas gifts this year. Because yeah, those tickets They got me.
Delaware's not in a real state.
Yeah.
Just being real. Like, come on.
Super trash. Yeah. Don't even pay
it exists solely so that like banks and like credit card companies don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah. Like, y'all are super trash.
I am on to you, Discover. Please don't fire my dad.
Oh man. Yeah. Keep Pops employed. Yeah. But yeah, that was super trash. So I'm a little salty at Delaware. So next time I go up there, I'm gonna have to invest in an easy pass. But yeah, no, holidays was cool. So hope you guys had a good holiday as well. I know we're late commenting on that, but we haven't recorded since then. So I guess speaking of moving into what we got going on today, we will be talking about the Joshua Ruiz rematch. We'll be talking about, of course, the Overeem versus Rozenstruik card, which, boy, was that a good card. Well, I don't know if it was good. It was an eventful card to come back to after a 2-week hiatus. We'll get to some fight announcements, which I actually have a pretty sizable number of. I didn't plan to have this much, and I didn't want to read all of these off, but there are a lot of them, and they're all kind of important. And then we'll get to some news stories. All of which I feel like are pretty sad. But before we get to that, new format of the show, new segment. If you have anything What is on your mind for this week, then, Taku?
Sensei, we're 12 days away.
I have bad memory, so I'm terrible with dates.
Speaking of memories, well, you won't get the joke because you never saw the play. Cats. It's less than 2 weeks away.
No. Is that the? Oh no. Okay. No, I know what you're talking about.
Sensei,
I saw that trailer.
I might die because I'm going to go see it.
No, don't do that.
Oh hell yeah! Are you kidding? This is my most anticipated movie since. I was gonna say since they released their original Sonic trailer, but they bothered to fix it, so I guess I'm not as excited for that one anymore. But
I'm gonna watch 2 hours of this.
Oh hell yeah! Oh hell the fuck yeah!
This movie looks terrifying. Who's in this? Who are the stars of this show?
Jason Derulo is the cat who fucks.
What? What?
That's not obviously the cat's name, but that is his only characteristic. He is the cat who fucks. I think he's like the ring-a-ting-tinger or something like that. But the main actress is a ballerina, and for the love of me, I can't remember her name.
I'm trying to pull this up on IMDb.
She is fantastic. Jennifer Hudson's in it. Jason Corden, Idris Elba, Taylor Swift, Rebel Wilson, Francesca Hayward.
Oh, but this is Magneto?
Who?
Is he in here? Or do I have my old guys mixed up?
No.
What's the guy who plays Magneto? What's his real name? Who's Ian McKellen?
Ian McKellen?
He looks like Magneto.
Yeah, that's him.
God, what is that? How did they get all these people?
Because Cats is a very famous play, and it's the most successful Broadway play ever.
This looks like a painful experience. Hold up. The budget for this was $95 million?
Yeah.
On what?
Dude, those are a lot of famous people.
Okay, that. I was going to say that. I hope it wasn't outfits.
Yeah.
Paid $95 million for all the fur?
And they didn't even bother with that because it's all like CGI.
What is this? I don't know, man.
Hey.
But I'd be interested to get your film review. To know like what was
is the Rum Tum Tugger, which sounds like a name you would give to a cat who fucks.
The Rum Tum. He's definitely the side dude.
That's the role he was born to play.
Hey, with that name, you have no other choice. If you're the Rum Tum Tugger, you are definitely the side. Yeah, you're the side feline.
So, part of my interest in this is that. What do you know about the play, Sensei?
Not much at all.
I think we actually talked about this the last time I was dumb enough to bring it up on this show, but there's an orgy scene in the play. Like, just a straight up orgy scene.
Well, seeing that this is rated PG, I'm gonna guess that didn't make the cut.
Yeah, so I was wondering, like, are they good? Like, so what do you do with Jason Derulo's character? You can't have him not fuck. He's the
Rum Tug. Rum Tug's gonna be tugging at something else. I don't know. Or they could just give him a lot of like innuendo jokes, but maybe he just like doesn't actually do anything.
My favorite thing about this is that it opens the same fucking weekend as the Rise of the Skywalkers. Yeah. They're like, we got this in the bag.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Hold up. So you're gonna? Oh, it's a before or after?
Right.
No. So this has to be after Rise of Skywalkers, right?
No, it's the same weekend.
Same. Oh boy. So are you? Are you picking this over the Rise?
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
Do you think I want to sit in a freaking theater full of a bunch of Star Wars nerds?
Hey, I'll be there.
Yeah. I don't I don't see most like big movies the weekend they come out. Mostly because I don't want to deal with the audience. I want to watch the movie. So I won't be seeing Star Wars probably until like 2020.
You let me know how that Cats crowd is.
It's gonna be a bunch of furries. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fucking hilarious.
Yeah. You know what? I can't judge though. Everybody's got their thing. I don't know. It's just something about these outfits that's just like really bothering me.
Well, that's the thing. They're not outfits. They're like.
Well, yeah. The CGI just it looks
terrible.
It looks
scary.
This looks like something like I know it's rated PG, but like this looks.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah, this is. I don't even know how to describe it.
Like, I don't know why they just didn't put them in outfits. It makes no sense to me.
I guess they thought like the humanoid. I don't know. Y'all have fun with that. But no, definitely let me know how that goes. I'm interested to hear how that goes, but I just don't want to experience it for myself.
What if I tell you it's the greatest movie ever made?
I'll take your word for it. I won't be in there, but I'll take your word for it. But I guess kind of keeping a similar theme, unless you had anything else.
Nah, I probably could think of something else, but it'd be something worse than Cats, so I don't think you want to go there.
Yeah. Let's keep the show alive. Well, nobody can cancel us, but you know, let me not say that.
I'm waiting to get canceled, Sensei. I hope you realize that. That's my goal weekly on this show.
I guess for me, I guess kind of keeping the movie theme. What's been on my mind? I'll just say, I guess somehow this might loosely tie into the Cats somehow. I went to see. I was really late to the party. I went to see Harriet. What day was that? A couple days ago. I have bad memory, but I went to see it like last week. It was cool. Wasn't the greatest movie. Wasn't terrible. I liked it. Sure, there were probably some inaccuracies. Probably maybe things that were left out. Maybe things that were over exaggerated. But you know, with those kind of movies, I kind of expect that. But I say all that to say, like when movies, I don't even just say when movies like that come out, but when movies come out in general, and you like go online and see people having these really like over the top reactions, either one way or another, just go see the movie for yourself. Because a lot of the criticisms I saw for that movie, even though I didn't think it was the perfect movie, and there were things about that movie that bothered me, some of the criticisms I saw were like actually just like factually wrong. Like I don't think we all were watching the same movie. And I can't really go into detail because it would spoil it, but
I mean, it's a biopic.
Yeah, that for one. So you kind of know what most biopics like. It's not going to be 100% accurate. But there were like literal scenes in the movie that people were describing. And like when I watched them, when I actually saw it, I was like, what were y'all complaining about? Because it's like we all misinterpreted what was on screen. But like I said, I can't really go into detail because it spoiled it. But just go see movies for yourself. Get your own opinion. Don't let a Twitter outrage or whatever kind of skew you from seeing something you might have been interested in seeing. But the one part about that movie that bothered me, and then we'll move on. I felt like, back in those times, like the lingo, the way people talked was just like different.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like they did that with everybody except one person. And like, he really stood out because of it. And there was like a scene where he was describing Harriet, and he was like, oh yeah, and she was so-and-so, and she was about yay high. And I said, whoa, yay high? They said that in like 1912? Like, people said yay high? I didn't think people talked like that back then. So I don't know. Something about like his verbiage really threw me off. But yeah, neither here nor there. But just go get opinions from movies yourself.
I mean, if there's anybody who deserved to have a biopic and like a video game and like, you know, a whole bunch of stuff made about her life, it's probably Harriet Tubman because she lived a crazy ass life.
Harriet video game would have been. Ooh, that would be fire.
Right?
That would be fire.
But like, yeah, we should like. I'm sick of all the Assassin's Creed games being the only historical video games. Those are the Call of Duty games because God, I'm beside the point. But yeah, I know that people are mad at the actress who portrayed Harriet for some reason. I don't remember what the drama was, but no, there's a lot of just like on both sides of just inaccuracy about her life. That isn't like based in reality. Like the people who claim like she freed like over 1,000 slaves and she went all the way into the deep south to to bring people to freedom on the Underground Railroad. That's not completely true. She's from your neck of the woods actually. She's from Maryland, I believe.
Yeah, she has one of her houses up here.
Yeah.
Either her house or like one of the houses she used to like stay in is up here.
Yeah. And her, the house she ended up buying up in New York and living at in her later life. It's still there, the Harriet Tubman Museum. I was actually planning to go visit it this spring when the weather got nice and I didn't have to stand outside in the freaking 30-degree weather. But like most slaves who were conductors on the Underground Railroad did not actually go further than like where they came from. You understand what I mean? Because like you need to know how to get back.
Right. But like it's a movie.
Yeah.
It's got to translate the screen. You got to have some kind of drama. So
like I wasn't sure if that. I'm not sure if that's like in the movie or like, but that's something that gets regurgitated through through social media and like even like some history books. Like the odds are that Harriet Tubman never went to like Georgia to lead people to freedom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean there weren't people who didn't, but it probably wasn't the woman from Maryland.
But just go see the movie yourself. Any movie, just
Yep.
Form your own opinions. Don't let social media outrage cloud your judgment or whatever. People don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, so that's what's on our mind, movies and such. Moving on. Gonna move on to some fight announcements, and there are a lot of them, so I'm going to run through these really fast, and we may or may not talk about some of them a little bit, but I don't want to spend too long because there are a lot of them. But fight announcements since the last time we recorded, and I probably still missed some because, like I said, there were a lot of them. Habib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson. 5th time's the charm. Hopefully. Knock on wood, particle board, knock on any solid substance you have near you. That fight will allegedly happen in Brooklyn on April 18th. I don't know if the event is actually named yet, but that's supposed to be the date. Lock down all the cords. Keep them in a bubble. 24-hour surveillance. Whatever you got to do to make sure we can actually finally get this fight. But that's supposed to go down on April 18th. Conor McGregor, allegedly finally back. I don't believe this fight until it happens. But it seems like it's going to be a thing. Conor McGregor versus Donald Cerrone at UFC 246. Also worth of note, that fight will be at welterweight, not lightweight, which is rather interesting. But we can come back to that. Strawweight title fight. It's one of the fights I'm most excited for. Going down at UFC 248. Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Violence on violence on violence. I'm really I'm ready for that one. Moving down, UFC 247. Jimmy Rivera versus Marlon Vera. Chito Vera finally gets big fight. I think he's deserved. I think he's definitely earned a name like this. So happy for that one. At UFC Busan, Frankie Edgar will be stepping in for God, why am I blanking on his name? Brian Ortega to take on Korean Zombie. I'll come back to that fight. I don't like that fight. But Johnny Walker is back against Nikita Krylov at UFC Brasilia, which will be on March 14th. Corey Anderson versus Jan Blachowicz, I believe, will be headlining UFC Rio Rancho on February 15th. And headlining UFC Auckland on February 23rd. We'll get some nice quality lightweight violence with Paul Felder versus Dan Hooker. Moving on to Bellator at Bellator 239. Ed Ruth will be taking on Yaroslav Amosov. That should be a really awesome fight. Really big step up in competition for Ruth. At Bellator Japan, we'll have Michael Venom Page versus Shinzo Anzai. I believe that fight's going to be at catchweight. And Sidney Outlaw is going to replace Benson Henderson to face off against Michael Chandler. At Ryzen 20. Of course, you guys know, or if you don't know, I don't know if we talked about it the last time, but Kyoji Horiguchi was injured. He vacated both his titles, his Bellator title and his Ryzen title. So facing in for the vacant belt and bantamweight at Ryzen will be Kai Asakura versus Manel Cape. Also on that same card at Ryzen 20, we'll have Jerry Projaska versus CB Dalloway. Reina Kubota will be rematching Lindsey Van Zant. And last but certainly not least, Tenshin Nasukawa will be on the card facing off against Rui Ibata, who I recently looked up some of his fights, and I'm really looking forward to that fight now.
Yeah, he's legit. He's really good.
Yeah. He's got some fun. He's got some bangers out there. I've seen a couple. Any of these real quick, you got some quick bullet point thoughts on?
God, they really lean on Frankie.
Yeah, that fight.
Like to the point where like I'm kind of angry at him, because like he sets the precedent that it's okay to just like jerk fighters around like that. Because they were trying to, for those who don't know, they were trying to book him to fight the Korean Zombie, but also keep the Sandhagen fight, which is literally a month later. And they were like, yo, he could totally do it. He could totally take the Zombie and then cut 10 pounds in a month and then go fight Corey Sandhagen. And it's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Right. Like you're assuming the fight is going to go so well and he's like not going to be damaged and like...
It's not like they didn't have other options. Like, I don't know if they reached out to Zabit's team and they were just like not giving like, oh, we don't want that fight for Zabit right now. But
I thought I read somewhere that Cater
volunteered to take the fight.
Yeah, and I'm like, that to me made all the sense in the world. Like I would have jumped on that fight.
Yeah. But that's a weird one to me. Obviously they want to keep Zombie on that card because he's basically the only star they have.
Yeah.
And Lord knows if he's even going to make it to fight night because dude has a reputation for not being able to stay healthy. But that was just like a messy situation to me.
I hope they find somebody for Sandhagen too. Like,
yeah,
get that man a nice marquee fight.
Yeah, it sucks that Aljo is MIA or hurt. They went ahead and booked Mcgregor despite all the criminal behavior.
Yeah.
What you gonna do? Fucking, pirate the fight. I don't care. Fuck the UFC. Don't pay for that shit.
I think at this point we've learned they don't. You can have pending like murder charges, rape, assault, battery, anything in between. But if you can make some money and fill up a space on the card, they'll still give you a spot.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is so. This is going to be an interesting one. I think we texted about it a little bit. Like Cerrone is like the type of fighter Mcgregor is Cerrone's kryptonite, but the type of fighter Cerrone is completely unique to Conor McGregor. Like outside of Jose Aldo, who has been the best kickboxer McGregor has fought thus far? Because Eddie Alvarez, primarily a boxer, Chad Mendez, wrestle boxer, Dustin Poirier, when he was at featherweight, was primarily a boxer and a very slow-footed one at that. Nate Diaz, boxer, you know, and Khabib, wrestle boxer slash crazy athlete, man. So,
Right.
Cerrone struggles when guys are able to get him to commit to a boxing match. If he's able to work his wrestling and get his kicks going early, we've seen McGregor struggle a little bit with kicks, and honestly, I don't know how. Like I said, he hasn't fought an actual kickboxer in years. I think the last one he fought was, besides Aldo, was like Dennis Seaver, and that was like what, 5 years ago.
All right. And it's also Dennis Seaver.
Yeah, and Dennis Seaver had success with the leg kicks early before McGregor doubled up on the pressure and turned it into a boxing match. So if Cerrone can keep his back off the cage, if he can, and that's a big if because decent pressure fighters have been able, lesser pressure fighters have been able to push Cerrone back. But if he can keep his back off the cage, if he can keep McGregor, if he can get McGregor down once and put that thought in his head, if he can kick at that lead leg, kick at that rear power hand, this could be a competitive fight. Otherwise, I can see him getting knocked out, but his chin isn't what it used to be. But at the same time, I'm kind of curious if McGregor's power carries against a guy who doesn't need to jump into range to hit him, because Cerrone's just as tall, if not tall. He's taller than McGregor, so he's not going to be reaching on punches, or he shouldn't be reaching on punches. He should be able to keep his feet underneath him, and that's a large part of why Nate Diaz, despite getting knocked down a bunch of times, was able to take McGregor's power, because his feet were never out of position and he could absorb the brunt of the shot. So, it's an interesting fight for probably the wrong reasons, because it's partly how much has McGregor been training with the year and a half he's been away or whatever, and how much is Donald Cerrone just shot after two really devastating ass fights, Justin Gaethje knocking him out and Tony Ferguson, putting that work in on him in the second round. So, yeah, it is what it is. And like you, I'm hyped for that Zhang versus Joanna fight, because they're two of the best kickboxers in MMA.
Yeah, that's the elite of the elite. That's you don't get this high level matchmaking, don't come around that often.
Right,
you're getting two of the best of the best of the best. I guess real quick to piggyback on the Cerrone McGregor. I just thought it was interesting that they made it at 170.
Could we talk about how Dana White's basically said that if Donald Cerrone wins, he gets a fucking rematch with Khabib?
I mean, if Conor wins?
Yeah, McGregor wins. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Gross.
This is nastiness all around.
Justin Gaethje's out here freaking knocking people out in the first round of every fight.
Yeah, and we're just gonna bypass all of that and that rematch, if it happens, I don't see that fight going any different.
Exactly.
He gets taken down and abused again.
It's not like McGregor's been out here training with the U.S. wrestling team or whatever. He's been out here pitching his whiskey for the past year and ducking legal troubles.
And I don't think this. I know Cerrone's older. chin's probably a little shot, but I think this fight being at 170 helps, gives him more points in his favor. And I don't think this fight is a layup. I don't think it is. I think McGregor can win, and he probably should win. But just because of everything he's had going on, I don't know, like, the kind of shape he's in. Like, I don't really feel 100% comfortable saying this is like a layup for him. I think the early portion of this fight, like, tone is going to be really important. Like, I think if Conor gets off to like a good start, it might be trouble for Cerrone. Cerrone's not really a comeback from behind kind of guy. So I think that first round is going to be really, really, really important to how the rest of that fight plays out. But if Cerrone can like weather a storm, and if he can get Conor down, because I think the one thing difference between like if Khabib takes you down, he's trying to abuse you. He might go for a submission, but he's gonna beat you up for a long time. Cerrone's going for subs, and he's pretty aggressive about it when he's on the ground if he decides to take it that route. I think he could catch McGregor slipping, get him down, triangle, something. He could get something in. I could definitely see it going that way. But yeah, McGregor getting the title shot off of that's filth. Filth. But interesting matchup though. Shenanigans aside, and that's a whole nother story. But a lot of awesome fights. We're gonna probably end this year. It seems like pretty strong, and next year we'll be kicking it off with shenanigans. The train won't stop. I think that's pretty much. And like you said, the Joanna versus Zhang, that's gonna be super fire. Like, now I'll throw this out there. I'm Zhang gang till it's over, till the train falls off. So I'm still picking Zhang, but that's gonna be an amazing scrap. I'll leave the rest of these fights alone. We can comment on them as the dates get closer. So I guess we'll just move on to news. Where do we start? None of these news stories are really happy. They're not gonna lift the mood.
I say we go with the saddest, and then we work our way backwards from saddest to least saddest.
Okay. I think I kind of somewhat have them written that way. Unless, is Renan Barao the least saddest?
If we're talking about health, yes.
All right. I think I kind of got these written in that order. So yeah, pretty much the most unfortunate part, news story, which I'm pretty sure by now you guys already know, but we hadn't got a chance to talk about it since we last recorded. But the whole Aniah Blanchard situation, unfortunate ending, man. Like, yeah. In a perfect world, yesterday we would have gotten a chance to see Walt Harris fight in this main event, and he had a nice streak going, and everything just seemed like he's really putting it together, and then just this happens. But Aniah Blanchard, unfortunately, they did find her remains. The suspects that are in custody as of now, what is this gentleman's name? I know his last name is Yasid. He was the one that the witnesses saw Blanchard having like the altercation with. He's the one who allegedly did the kidnapping. He's the one who allegedly had the gun on him. And there are also two other gentlemen who were somehow involved with this. One of them is named Antoine Squirmy Fisher. And there was somebody else, but his name is not in the article. But there were two other gentlemen who, in some way, were, I guess, helping Yasid with this whole thing. I guess to me, like, the whole situation is just really, really, really unfortunate. But like the weirdest part of this to me was like I'm reading this. David Lee Johnson Jr. He's the other suspect. But I'm trying to find it in the article. But there's a section, and you can probably find it in any article that you read. But like, the way they framed it, it seemed like one of these witnesses. I don't know if he was close to Yasid, but with the amount of information that it seemed like he knew, it was like, why didn't you say anything? Like, I don't know.
I mean,
this was just.
well, I'm of two mindsets about that. One is, if someone you know who is probably like your neighbor, comes like so you know what they get into, or you're at least from the same neighborhood, and you hear shit, and he's like, yeah, no, I murdered somebody. Is your first instinct to turn them in, or is your first instinct to say, oh, yeah, no, that's totally something he'd do. I better keep my mouth shut. Or he'd do that to me too. Or you're one of his friends, or an associate, or whatever, and you're probably just into the same shady shit that he is.
Well, in that case, I get it. Like, if y'all are in the same circle and you didn't say anything, then I understand it. You're just trying to cover your own, I get it.
I'm not trying to, like, I'm not trying to, like, cover for anybody or anything like that. It's just like,
no, it's real life.
Yeah.
Like, this is how
people
life.
think.
Like, yeah. So yeah, that part I understand. Well, let me just read part of this real quick to get like some context. But let's see. I'm just gonna start kind of in the middle of this article. I'm reading from USA Today. Auburn Police Chief Paul Register said during a conference that it's still unknown if Blanchard was familiar with Yasid prior to the alleged kidnapping. He said that we don't have any reason to know that she was familiar with him, but we certainly can't rule out completely that there would have been some knowledge. But at this point, we don't have knowledge that she knew him. 2 more weeks later, Antwain Squirmy Fisher was arrested by the police department. Fisher, like you see, was charged with first-degree kidnapping and Blanchard's disappearance. According to Fisher's charging documents, he disposed of evidence and provided transportation for Yasid. The records do not say what evidence he is alleged to have handled. Fisher is to be held without bond. David Lee Johnson, I'm trying to see what his involvement was. Charging documents filed Tuesday morning revealed that his son, David Lee Johnson III, allegedly drove Yasid to Escambia County. The younger Johnson has not been charged with any crimes. According to an arrest affidavit on November 7th, went to the home where 35-year-old Antwain Fisher charged with first-degree kidnapping. Okay, so Antwain Fisher, I guess, lived with Johnson III. They'd received a tip that 29-year-old Yasid, the first suspect charged with first-degree kidnapping in the case, had been at the Placid Drive home. At the home, Johnson Jr. told police he saw Yasid leave the house with an unknown white female in an unknown vehicle. This all just sounds really shady. Like a lot of just shadiness going on. But yeah, not a good story to kick the week off with. More details, I'm sure, will be released, but as of now, at least the 3 gentlemen involved are in custody. I can't remember if Yasid has bond or not. I would hope not.
I want to say one of them was released on bond. At least one of them, I should say. It's like 50. I think it was like $50,000 or something.
Hopefully it wasn't Yasid. I'm trying to scroll through this article real quick to see it. I don't believe it was him though, but don't quote me on that. But either way, like the whole court case, like all that is still playing out, so nobody's in jail yet. Apparently Yasid was in court wilding out, saying that they didn't have any proof that he did anything. But at the end of the day, man, just rest in peace, Aniah Blanchard. No matter how the court case plays out, like somebody's not here anymore. And she should be. She should still be here, and she's not.
Right.
So yeah, rest in peace to Aniah Blanchard. Well wishes, man, to Walt Harris. Man, that's got to be something crazy to like bounce back from. I don't know when we'll see him again, or if we'll see him again, but I don't know, man. I hope you find a way to pull it through, man. To kind of get yourself back on your feet. But prayers to the whole family, man. Not the way you want to see that story end. You want to move on to some slightly less sadder news, but still.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it significantly less sad, but more, not more, but upsetting for different reasons. All right, so wait. Am I missing another sad story in there, or are we going to the releases?
Hey, you can pick either or. I still got Carmouche and Mark Hunt written down.
Okay. So, yeah, Mark Hunt. Yeah, let's go with the Mark Hunt story. So Mark Hunt's entire case against the UFC has been thrown out in court by the judge, and the UFC is suing him over $388,000 in lawyer fees. So this is terrible on every level, and I hate the UFC.
This is one of the pettiest things I think I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Like there's no other way. Like this is pettiness to like the umpteenth degree. And I guess for people who maybe you don't remember because maybe it's been a while since we maybe talked about this, but like this goes all the way back to UFC 200 when Mark Hunt fought Brock Lesnar. Of course, you remember the fight. Brock Lesnar ended up winning, unanimous decision, took him down, beat him up, so on and so forth, whatever. And then, of course, to nobody's surprise, Brock Lesnar failed his drug test. He tested positive. What is this drug called? Clomiphene.
Holy shit!
What?
It's all right. I just went onto Tumblr to go check my news thing, and someone just tweeted out, "Juice WRLD's dead."
What? Really?
Yeah, he had a seizure at Chicago Midway Airport.
Wow. Oh man, that's crazy. Oh yep, this is on the Chicago Sun. Yeah, so this is legit.
God,
dude, he was only
21.
Jesus. That is, ooh man. Rest in peace. I never really listened to his music, but I just kind of know his name from other people. But oh man, that is unfortunate. Jesus, rest in peace, Juice WRLD.
Yeah.
That is
y'all gotta stop doing like drugs, man. Stop popping pills and like, oh my god.
Yeah, at 21, you should not be. Well, I won't say because I don't know, dude, and I don't know if he had like any pre-medical conditions or anything. But bro, at 21, if you're like perfectly healthy and you don't have any pre-existing conditions, you should not be dying of seizures, man. But we'll hold off because we don't know everything. Literally, this just happened. Like it was like 35 minutes ago. God, rest in peace, Juice WRLD. That's yeah. Jesus Christ, this episode. God. But this Mark Hunt thing. Back to that real quick. Yeah, UFC 200. Brock failed drug test, so on and so forth. He went to sue the UFC for it. Lost the case, and they're just basically pouring salt on the wound. Like the UFC, I guess you can say they won because the case got thrown out, and now they're counter-suing for all the court fees. And it's $388,000
Yep.
and legal fees. And it's it's just like Y'all don't have to do this to this man. And it's like, you were like, we all knew Brock was gonna fail that drug test, and then like they just looked the other way. And you got to feel for Hunt, because I think, at least in this article they mentioned, this is the third time he's fought somebody and they failed a drug test afterwards. So like, he's probably just like, I know he was just pissed off in general. Like this just keeps happening to me, and now this is just like extra salt on the wound. I think they did mention though that he can appeal. So I guess we'll see if that happens. But petty on petty on petty. You want to quickly describe this Liz Carmouche thing?
Yeah. So was it Thursday or Friday? The UFC started their cut list. They started releasing people. As you do. And one of the people cut was Liz Carmouche, two-time UFC title challenger, both at women's bantamweight and women's flyweight. Which even without the following context for her being cut, it just seems kind of like, why? Because like I get that she's not the most entertaining fighter, but she is a top 10 fighter in two divisions, and that those divisions need body and people with experiences. So I don't get the purpose behind the cut, especially since she's the type of person who does media appearances for the UFC a lot. She was one half of the first women's fight in the UFC history, and she's a former Marine. And in fact, she was doing media for the UFC on Thursday or Friday, when she got the news that the UFC had cut her. She was in Washington D.C., which she paid for by herself. Apparently, she paid her own way to go to do promotional work for the company ahead of the UFC DC card yesterday. And literally hours, not even a couple hours after they cut her, they posted a picture of her, Neil Magny, Justin Gaethje, and I don't recognize the last person in this photo, in front of what is that? Is that It's not Congress. In front of one of the monuments in DC. To their Instagram.
Weren't they at like a wreath service?
Yes, they were at a wreath service for the military, which obviously you want Liz Carmouche there. But they cut her as she was doing promotion for the company. So, just a fantastic fucking week for UFC PR, am I right?
Yeah, and then they say like, oh, they said we weren't aware.
We weren't aware that she was there, which maybe they did it because they even bothered to pay her to go. Maybe they just told her it would be nice if she did it for them.
She did that, and that's confirmed. She had to come out of pocket for this trip.
Oh my god, so gross.
So that means like you took time out of your day to do this event for a good cause. You came out of pocket to do all the traveling and all the legwork, only for the company you work for to be like, oh yeah, you don't work for us anymore. While you're out here like shaking hands and like hugging people.
This is what did Jordan Breen say? The machine will not save you. It's just the UFC doesn't care about any of the fighters on its roster. You're not an employee. You're not a stakeholder. You are a cog that keeps the machine turning, and in their eyes, you can be replaced.
Oh, yeah.
And, Liz Carmouche apparently has been taken in stride. But her management came out and said, it is what it is, but just to cut somebody right before Christmas who's doing all this work for you, probably for free, in the hopes that it'll be beneficial to her career, that's so shitty. That's so shitty.
It was like this coming out and the Mark Hunt thing like all happening within like the same like week. It's just like, bro, this is like stories like this are why I don't get mad at, and it's not even just fighters, like across all sports. When athletes in general are really trying to get what they're worth, and they might hold out or do something crazy to get money. I know from a fan's perspective we might not like it, but it's like these stories are why I don't get mad at athletes when they do that. Cause like, bro, they will throw you out at the drop of a dime.
Like, they don't care about you.
Yeah, they don't care, but you're a number. You're a number, and as soon as your value decreases and you go in the red even a little bit, if they feel the need to drop you, they will get rid of you, and there is nothing you can do about it. So while you're there, get everything you can, get all the money you can, take all the advantages you can, because they're gonna get rid of you eventually. But yeah, that's kind of a tasteless, just like, even if you guys planned on cutting her, at least wait till I don't know.
And like that's the thing. Like, this shit is calculated. Like, going back to like the like the testimony for the antitrust, the testimony, like, you know, with Conor and all those dudes suing the UFC for you know, trust practices or whatever. Like, and you hear stories about how like Joe Silva with like strong arm fighters, like, this is all calculated. This is it's fear-based negotiation, and it sucks because these people, like, I'm sure most of the people on the UFC roster realize that like that could be easily be me.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. The last I heard of that, because I think Randy Couture is involved in that too. So I actually posted about that on Twitter. About I was wondering like where did it? Because I haven't heard about that case in a while. The last note I saw was from Randy Couture maybe a couple months ago. I think it's kind of stalled because they had to switch out somebody from the committee or whatever. But hopefully that whole lawsuit continues to be a thing, because things like this shouldn't happen. Like even if you're gonna cut her, there's like a professional way to kind of go about things, and this wasn't it, man. This was not it. For me, I wasn't even as mad about the cut, even though that to me is still confusing considering she just came off a title shot. But if you're gonna cut her, like, this is not the manner in which you can't operate like that, man. That is super cutthroat. But I guess keeping the trend of cuts going. I mean, it's in
the next two are less egregious in my mind, in my eyes. But it's sad. It's still sad. Just less sad. Gray Maynard, Renan Barao, both been cut by the UFC. Am I missing somebody? I feel like I'm missing somebody.
Was there a third?
UFC cuts. There's somebody else. But yeah, Renan Barao, Gray Maynard. Renan Barao, everybody knows, 5-fight losing streak. Been knocked out a bunch of times. Just has not been the same fighter since losing to TJ Dillashaw. And can we please get off this nonsense about like he started losing when like the USADA came around? Because like, turns out the dude who beat his prime out of him was on EPO. So you know, maybe ease up on that that narrative a little bit. But yeah, it's not been an easy time for Renan. He just has not been the same fighter since the first TJ Dillashaw fight, and it's sad. And it's a combination of that. It's a combination of the weight cut to 135, and he's never really able to adapt his style up at 145, so to be less bully based, more not athletic, but you know, he never adapted to fighting guys who are about his size.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure he'll get picked up somewhere.
bare knuckle boxing is always there with arms wide open for guys who are way past their prime. But we also got the cut of Gray Maynard, who surprisingly is 2-2 in his last 4, but then you look and it's like, oh, he beat Teruto Ishihara and Fernando Bruno and lost the kickboxing match with Ryan Hall and got knocked out by Nick Lentz. So, and before that, he had lost his previous 4 fights. So it's not even like you could be like, oh, he's just in a rough spot. Like his last, basically since getting knocked out by Frankie Edgar, it's been a rough ass run. It's been a rough 8 years for Gray. I don't know if he still wants to fight. I don't know if I don't know if this is something he wants to do anymore. The space between his fights have been longer and longer. He hasn't fought since 2018. Like his entire career has basically been in the UFC ever since like Tough. Like he had 2 fights prior to being in the UFC, got on Tough, and has been in there since 2007. So I don't know if he has like a desire to stick around in MMA anymore. Now he's on the UFC and he's not getting like that, 5-5 contract or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know if Bellator would want him, to be honest with you, because he's not a very exciting fighter. And it's not like he's not going to bring the crowd out.
Let's say in the 2019 MMA landscape, I don't know where. Not really sure where Gray Maynard fits in the picture.
He can join Renan Barao in bare knuckle fighting.
Yeah, y'all keep that. Keep that for yourself.
Man, you got to make money any way you can, Sensei.
Yeah, that is true. Bills don't go away. They do not go away. But we'll end the news on there. That was a long news segment. We still got two cards to cover. All right. So that was news. Hopefully next week will be a little more uplifting.
If it was just the fight announcements, this would have been a good week. But unfortunately, the world keeps turning.
Yeah. Next week hopefully we'll get some better news next week. But we do got some fights to talk about. That'll uplift things a smidgen, a little bit. So let's get to some fisticuffs. Dojo breakdown. We will start with the rematch between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz Jr. So, I'll just say off top, I'm out $20. Just throw that out there. I'm out $20. I wanted to believe in Ruiz for the second time, but it didn't happen. It did not happen. I don't really have a ton to really say about this fight other than like Joshua did. He did his thing. Like this is. I'm trying to think of how to word this. This performance looks like a guy who realized that in the first fight, like, oh, I really messed that one up. Let me go do what I was supposed to have done the first time. Because he really just kind of went in there, and it wasn't like a super razzle-dazzle, you're jumping out of your feet kind of performance. But he just really went in there and just kind of boxed Ruiz up. Like, did really good just kind of jabbing him out from a distance. Really just a great job at sticking and moving. Ruiz was not really able to get inside many times. He might land a left hook here or there. There were like little small brief moments where like Joshua would get a bit cocky and they might stand and trade for just a little bit, but those moments never extended outside of 2 to 3 seconds. And Joshua kind of would get back within himself and like, all right, that was fun. All right, let's go back to what I was doing. Jab you from the outside, jab, beat you up from the outside. I'm a stick and move. Ruiz trying to fade or trying to find his way inside, but he just never really got there, I think I might have gave Ruiz like one round, and I don't remember what round that was. I felt like it was either towards like the middle or like the second half of the fight. But like for the most part, it was like it was a clinic, not in terms of that it was like a beat down. Like it's not like he was knocking Ruiz around and knocking him down, but it was a clinic just in terms of I have a really good game plan, and I don't think you can get me either straight from that, and there's nothing you can really do to stop what I'm doing. So I'm going to just do what I do for 12 rounds, and unless you figure out a way around it, I'm just going to keep doing it. And, hey, man, stick and move for the win.
So, yeah, like all the people fucking upset that Anthony Joshua didn't fucking like bang with Ruiz in the pocket. The hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's why he got. That's why this fight is happening right now, because he did that the first time. Didn't work.
So, we talked about this the last time we were on. Like, we gave our predictions for Joshua Ruiz, and I don't remember who I picked, but I whatever my pick was before, I ended up picking Joshua on Friday after the weigh-in because. Ruiz came in 15 pounds overweight, and Joshua came in like 10. I should say overweight. He came in 15 pounds heavier than he did in their first fight, and Joshua came in like the lightest he's been in a minute. I think it was like 233, which was like 12, 13 pounds lighter than he was in their first fight. That showed to me that he was, more than Ruiz coming in overweight and coming in coming in heavier. Joshua coming in later was like, okay, he's going to focus on keeping Ruiz at distance and moving. And I was a little hesitant to pick him to do that because we've never seen him want to do that. Or the times we've seen him want to do it, he's kind of just fallen into just friggin' getting in the pocket and banging it out, which he's actually really good at. He doesn't take a fantastic punch, but he's a very slick heavyweight inside boxer. The way he knocked Ruiz down in their first round by like pushing his head into position to get that uppercut that put him on the ground was beautiful. But if he sits in like we said, if you sit in the pocket with Ruiz long enough, he's probably going to tag you. So seeing him come in lighter than he had been previously, and it was like, okay, he's dedicated to this type of game plan, and have you seen any of the training the videos that Ruiz has been letting out to the media?
Not other than the one where he hit his trainer.
Yeah, okay.
On accident. That was the only one I saw.
So like, he's been doing like a bunch of like YouTube videos and stuff, like being like guest, and he's like, so, he like it's all stuff like him buying cars, him eating an entire pie of pizza by himself, him being like, I had to go to the gym today, and I really don't want to, like that type of stuff. It's like, oh, this is Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard all over again. He got a bunch of money, guaranteed another big paycheck, and was like, all right, I'm done. Like he was apparently supposed to be in the gym for this fight in July.
Oh yeah, and they said he didn't go until like
September.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, okay, all right, this seems like the logical outcome. And while you could tell that Joshua was super nervous, like even walking out, you could see it in his like body language. Like once he settled in, like he was even nervous in like after like 4 or 5 rounds of him winning. It was like I don't think until he got to like the 7th round, the round he got knocked out in last time, he's like, oh wait, I'm actually winning this thing.
Right. I'm doing
good. And like he got and then Ruiz adapted a little bit. And so Joshua was, keeping him at bay with the jab, and then he would, like, when Ruiz would get too close, he would just grab him. Ruiz adapted, figured out that he could dip one shoulder and come over the top with the right hand, and he actually did tag Joshua in that 7th or 8th round really hard and had him buckle a little bit. Joshua adapted, stopped going for the clinch, focused more on movement. And And it was a really dominant one-sided ass fight. Like 118-112 was my score, I think. And that was being generous because I'm not sure that Ruiz won 2 rounds in that fight.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think I gave him 1. I don't know if I gave him 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of styled on him a little bit. Like it was after about the 6 or 7 rounds in, I was like, all right, if Ruiz doesn't have a Hail Mary, this is pretty much over. Like it doesn't look like this fight is gonna go in any other direction than what it's going now.
That's the thing. Like Ruiz was talking before the fight about like, oh yeah, no one's ever seen me cut the ring off before. I'm like great at it. I'm like, why don't you do it? Like if you're great, like, because Ruiz has always been like a come forward style fighter, but he doesn't throw a lot of volume. Like Joshua sitting in the pocket with him is the only reason we saw him throw those punches. Oh, it's also worth noting that Ruiz actually had a fight not too long prior to that. So it was like a process of him getting back in the gym, like almost immediately after a full fight camp, and then like, just keeping that momentum going. So like that probably kept his weight down. Probably kept him in like really good shape. But yeah, no, like he could not cut the ring off for crap. Like, and that's like. Joshua's performance was impressive in part because of like it's stuff we've rarely ever seen him do. We saw him do a little bit against Parker, but even then there was like excessive clinching in that fight. And points where like Parker and Joshua were just like crowding their punches, trying to get in on one another. But like it's not like Joshua was unhittable. It's just that Ruiz didn't have the tools to do anything about it. Like he was not jabbing. He was not cutting him off with his footwork. He was not like. One of my favorite examples of this is Canelo versus Erislandy Lara. Lara was basically doing what Joshua was doing in the fight. But Canelo realized, oh, I can't hit him to the head. So every time he circles out, whether it be to the right, to the left, I'm going to hit him with a big swooping hook to the body. Nice, simple, wears you down over the course of 12 rounds, takes a little bit out of your legs. It's a really simple but effective technique that, like, anybody can basically do if you are, like, a professional. And we didn't even see that from Ruiz until, like, way late in the fight. Like,
and that could have paid off earlier, considering, like, a lot of, I was impressed that Joshua was able to just move so much.
Yeah,
like that's a lot of movement and bouncing around, and to not really like gas out or get tired. Like he kept that pace up for pretty much all 12 rounds. Which, like, you look at just like way he's built. Like dude's built like a superhero. Like you would think he'd just get tired after a while, but a lot of sticking and moving, a lot of movement. But it worked. Like I said, yeah, had he went to the body earlier, that could have opened up some headshots, but.
Or at least could have slowed Joshua down. But,
right.
like, no, like, he was content to just walk at him and try to goad Joshua into, like, a brawl.
Yeah, Joshua wasn't having none of that. At the end, he tries to, like, do the whole Max Holloway point to the ground, yo, let's bang, and Joshua's like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm good. All right, would you be interested in seeing a trilogy?
No.
You good?
So, like, Ruiz has to prove to me that, because this isn't even like the first fight where like Joshua won the first like 3 rounds and then hurt Ruiz, and then Ruiz literally like 15 seconds later hurt Joshua. It was just like, it was one-way traffic all the way through. Ruiz showed up out of shape and just like had no game plan whatsoever. He came to win the first fight again. He expected to get hit. He expected Joshua to brawl with him. And he did it. Like, and had no backup plan for when that didn't happen.
Yep. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a rematch maybe down the road, but for the sake of other fights that I want to see, I like these two to move on from each other. And maybe depending on how their fights go separate from each other, they can meet up at some other time for the rubber match. But yeah, this I think had this been more competitive, I'd be cool with a trilogy. But it was so one-sided that it's like, yeah, if y'all are gonna fight again, we can do this later. Let y'all fight some other people first, and y'all can meet some other time. But great win for Joshua. A good bounce back performance. Like
that's the type of stuff you want to see.
Yeah. Considering how bad that first fight went for him, and like after he got knocked out, media's going crazy, fans are going crazy, calling you all kinds of names, saying you're washed and blah blah blah. Like we know how the story goes. You lose in combat sports, you lose one fight, and suddenly everything you did prior to that fight doesn't matter anymore. You're just like the worst person on earth. You're the worst fighter that ever existed. And he bounced back from it. That's exactly what you want to see. So props to Anthony Joshua defeating Andy Ruiz. Hopefully, I'm interested to see. I want to see Andy Ruiz's next fight to see. Now, like it's his time to answer now.
Exactly.
Yeah, Joshua had his moment. Now we got to see Ruiz have his Rocky moment. You got to go back to the gym. You got to start punching the meat in the freezer. See how you come out on the other side.
I'd like to see him fight Dylan White or what's his face? God, Dylan White, Povetkin, like one of those dudes.
I'll say because I didn't see the undercard. Any quick thoughts on the undercard before we move on?
Only fight I saw any of was Michael Hunter versus Povetkin. It's a fine fight. Nice little heavyweight scrap where the fight just became like a more tired, gassed version of like the first few rounds as they kept going on. Povetkin still one of the top like 7 or 8 heavyweights in the world. Gave Joshua all types of trouble when they fought. Michael Hunter moving up from cruiserweight. They fought to a draw, which was completely fair. It was a fine fight. I'm a little disappointed in Hunter, not because like Povetkin isn't a good fighter, but like he's also like 40 years old. So like if it's a battle of like attrition, like you hope the younger fighter is able to even like edge out the older fighter a little bit, but it didn't happen. But it was a big step up in competition from who he had fought previously heavyweight, so I can't be too harsh on him. But it was a fine fight. Both guys still keep their name out there at the upper echelons of heavyweight, where there's no shortage of like fights to make. So yeah, good little scrap.
There we go. That was Ruiz versus Joshua 2. And we'll see the aftermath of that fight. Don't know what matches will be made afterwards, but whenever they happen, we'll let you guys know, and we'll be sure to talk about them when they do. So, moving on. UFC Washington D.C. Overeem versus Rozenstruik.
I'm so confused because they pronounced his name Rozenstruik before, like in his previous fights, and now it's Rozenstruik.
Yeah, I feel like phonetically because it's the
yeah. There were a couple fights on this card where they did that. They did it for Yana Kunitskaya, because I think we've been pronouncing it Kunitskaya, and was it Anik who was on the broadcast last night who was like it's Yana Kunitskaya?
Yeah, I'm blaming Anik. If it's a name mess up,
I feel bad because like he tries, but like, did you read that article where he was like, this is. Like my schedule is freaking ridiculous. I have to remember like 700 names a month for this, like for commentary. I have to remember everybody's. I kind of feel bad for him because like with boxing, no one really cares. So that you just need to know like the top like 2 or 3 fighters on the card names and stories. But like with MMA, you have to know literally everybody, and you're doing it for like 7 hours straight with only like 5-minute breaks in between fights, if that.
But bless is a little hard.
He's trying.
I mean, I'll say it, and I've said it before. Like I don't mind him as much anymore. He doesn't bother me. I think it's because the commentary teams are switching around. so he doesn't stick out to me as much as he used to. So I just kind of don't mind him. He's been like okay as of late. So I won't pick on him too much. But it's gonna be Rozenstruik for the rest of the episode. But man, yeah. Of course, it's supposed to have been Walt Harris's night, but life is. Yeah. We talked about it, but in the replacement, Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Alistair Overeem. Oh, this was a Reem fight. Like, every Overeem fight, if you're an Overeem fan, even if you're not an Overeem fan, if you've watched Overeem for long enough, especially during like his UFC tenure, you spend you're on edge the whole fight, just kind of waiting, like, oh, is he actually gonna win, or is the impending doom, is it coming? And you just spend the whole fight just wait. You hope he survives it. You hope the moment doesn't happen, and it just, it's just, God, this fight hurt to watch, man. Like, for all of Overeem's faults, there are a lot of things he does that I'm not a huge fan of. Like, when he covers up to absorb a combination, like, he kind of doesn't move. Like, he just, like, sits there and waits for the storm to be over, and then he moves out the way. And I don't know, like, little things like that. He'll get caught with his back against the cage every now and again. Some of the takedowns in this fight I thought were really funny, because I think they mentioned it during the broadcast. Like, you could see those takedowns coming from like a mile away. Like, he literally, like how the bird, when he's like about to flap his wings, that first large flap, like the arms go all the way out. Yeah, like he did that for his takedowns. And I was like, I feel like if this was against anybody else, bro, you would have gotten your clock cleaned. So little things like that, like, bother me about his performances, because it's always like those small kind of lapses is where, like, people capitalize, and next thing you know, he's asleep somewhere. But for all his faults, like, he's still, I think, a really, really well-rounded, like, heavyweight. He has really good striking. His knees in the clinch are devastating if he can get those going. And as we saw in this fight, a part of his game that sometimes people forget, because he strikes so much, he's a pretty competent grappler. Like, he can take you down. I can't remember the stats, but he has a pretty good, decent amount of submission wins on his record. So he's really well-rounded. And while the fight, I know for a lot of people, probably wasn't the most exciting, to me, I was kind of attributing this to, like, kind of like Joshua's performance. Yeah, it might not be super electrifying, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do to the best of his abilities to win. I'm going to get these takedowns. I'm going to work the clinch a little bit. He managed to land a lot of nice, he had some flush left hands that he caught Rozenstruik with, that surprisingly didn't really, like, knock him down or damage him. He just kind of ate him, but, Reem was being very economical. He was doing what he needed to do and tried his best to minimize his mistakes. He did get caught with a few flurries from Rozenstruik, to where Rozenstruik would get off like a 2-3-4 punch combination. Overeem would kind of just put his high guard up, just kind of wait till the storm was over, and then he would, like, circle out or get out of the way. But he would just cover up and just kind of eat it. He had some nice body kicks going. He was doing decent. Like, he was on his way to winning maybe what wasn't the most eventful fight, but I was like, all right, Reem, I see you. Like, you're doing what you need to do to get a win. You're fighting a dude who's a monster. He's on the rise. He's looking to take your head off, and you're doing what you can do to the best to not get your head taken off until that last round, where Rozenstruik like he leapt. Like, did he jump off his feet? I felt like his whole body he put everything he had into that punch. Like, he reached as far as he could,
Yeah.
and just blasted over.
That was some Deontay Wilder leave my feet type shit.
Right. Like, that was like a Super Smash Bros. Like, like final move or
Like
something.
if that punch that came in the first round, it probably would not have landed. Overeem probably would have had the energy and the ability to slip it, get out the way, whatever. But yeah, no, that was oof.
Yeah.
It destroyed his face though.
That was what was really most like alarming to me is like of course during the course of a fight, like you're gonna take some shots. You get jabbed and hit a few spots here and there. But it wasn't like Overeem he covered up for a lot of those strikes, and I'm sure some of them got through. But it wasn't like one of those fights where like Lawler and Rory, where like dudes are just the whole fight they're just both just getting torn apart. It wasn't like that. So it was just crazy to me that in one punch, if you would have looked at Overeem's face, you would have thought that was like accumulation from damage over the course of like the entire fight. Like no, but like one punch did that. One leaping, jumping, like video game final move punch catches Overeem, rips like half of his lip off. Like literally, like a quarter of his lip is just gone somewhere. I don't know where it's in the ethos. It flew in a crack. I don't know where it's at. He got a part of his lip. He ain't never gonna get back. Or I don't know. It's gone. It's out of here. And yeah, of course Overeem collapses. His face is just a bloody mess. But the worst part is he literally only had 4 seconds left in that round. And the ending kind of sucked because he gets caught with this right hand. Obviously he's hurt, but he gets right back up. Rozenstruik doesn't go for like a follow through. He just assumes that it's over. So he starts to like walk off.
It's really the perfect strategy if you think about it.
And it's like, because I think that was Mcgregor, right?
What's it? Let me see. Yeah, it was a Mergs.
Who had a very interesting night, yeah. And we'll get to him in like 2 more fights. But if he lets the clock run out for the 4 more seconds, because Rozenstruik, like I said, was not going for a follow-up, and at that point he hadn't waved the fight off. He could have let that run out for 4 more seconds, and most likely Reem probably takes the decision. But they end up waiving the fight after Reem gets up, and we got what we got. And Overeem has a lot of unfortunate losses. This might be like top 2. Like when you look back at his career of like fights that he should have gotten back, like fights that should have went the other way, this is gonna be one of the top ones. You look like, man, you should have had this. And
the Big Foot fight, the Travis Brown fight. What was another classic Reem? The Stipe fight.
Yeah, like he's had a lot of them, man. And like this was like a really important fight for him because you win this against Rozenstruik, and you're probably not far from getting a second crack at the title. You can try to make a case.
I mean, like if we're being real, it's like Ngannou and like that's it, and maybe Curtis Blades who are perpetually in title contention. But right now it's wide open. It does suck. Like Reem is a bad defensive fighter, and he got away with it for the longest time in kickboxing because, like, you got the big gloves, he had the big ass muscles, full of horse meat, horse testosterone, whatever. That were covering his chin. Came back to MMA, realized that the small gloves and the drug testing were not conducive to like good defense. Like he's so good. That's the thing that sucks about Reem. Like he's actually really good. Like he is arguably like the most like he's
probably the most physically talented.
He's the most like if we're going based on skill, I think he's the second most skilled heavyweight ever in terms of just like the variety of things he can do. He can wrestle. He can grapple on the ground. He can submit people. He is a world-class kickboxer. But the deficiencies in his style just leave these holes, and like it's like a discipline thing too, because like he just has these lapses of judgment. Like you're in the last minute of a fight, you might be winning, and you're still in here like exchanging with this dude who like it's hard as shit. And like I was watching the fight before we started, and like with 20 seconds left, he just like sits down on his feet as opposed to like getting on his bicycle, or even just trying to tie up with the guy and try to stall out the clock. Like those are things you could do to avoid this type of situation. And like these are things like he did it against Bigfoot, where he gassed himself out trying to be Muhammad Ali. Or against like Travis Brown, where it was pretty clear that Travis was just not going to go down if he blitzed him, and he did it anyway, and then ended up gassing and getting knocked out. Like he's a really poor decision maker, and it cost him because I've never been in the club that Reem has like a glass chin. It's just he makes bad decisions and ends up in positions where he just gets hit flush. Like, the punch that knocked him out against Stipe, or knocked him down against, like, that would have knocked down anybody. The punch that Rozenstruik made him eat here, that exploded his lip, would have put down anybody. But he puts himself in these positions where, like, what do you expect?
Yeah, if there was a stat for like fatal mistakes, he'd be like number one like all time. Like when he makes a mistake in a fight, it cost him every single time. Like he can't rebound from the mistakes he makes. Like they're too, like you said, the holes that he has in his game, they are gaping like craters. Like if you can take advantage just one time, that's literally all you need.
They're like craters in ways that, like, if they existed in other divisions, they wouldn't matter. Because, guys hit less hard. But this is heavyweight. And guys are tough and hit hard. And that's literally the characteristic of, like, 90% of the heavyweights on the UFC roster.
Man. Oh, man. But I got to give props to Rozenstruik.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because he hung in there.
He hung in there. He didn't stop coming forward. He got taken down a bunch, put on his butt. But he persevered.
And it's scary that going into the 5th round, after he had been taken down a bunch, probably pretty tired, he still managed to generate that much power, like literally in the closing seconds of the fight. And that's, biggest name on his resume probably to date. Up there with Arlovski. He's got two legends on his resume. One of which he knocked out cold and made him face plant. The other one, he ripped half his face off.
Yeah. You see that scar that Overeem has on his like left side of his face? Like underneath his eye? That thing's gonna be huge now.
God. This is almost one of those, like, dude, can you come back and fight after this? Like, bro, he ripped your face. Like, you literally, like, ripped your face off. God. Yeah, props to Rozenstruik. He went and called out Ngannou afterwards.
That is gonna be a terrible ass fight. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
you think we get Ngannou Lewis all over?
I mean, yeah, because Rozenstruik's a counterpuncher. Francis Ngannou's still a counterpuncher. Both have shown in the past that they're willing to just kind of stare at their opponent until something happens. So, yeah, I can see that going bad. Real bad. Hopefully it's not a 5-rounder. That's the other thing. Reed needs to stop taking these 5-round fights.
Yeah, see, if that was 3 rounds,
he would have won.
He would have won. He would have pitched a shutout. He'd have had an easy 30-27. That would have been easy money. 5 rounds,
Like,
man.
he hasn't been in too many of them now I think about it. Like, the one with Stipe, Olenek, and this. But, like, this was not the fight where if Reem wasn't going to come out here to knock Rozenstruik out or to put him on the ground and try to submit him, like, this was not the fight to be like, okay, I'll take the 5-rounder, because he's just gonna gas.
Ah, boy. Reem did a lot of things right and some things wrong. And the wrong things just, yeah. But props to Rozenstruik, one of the deadliest finishes you'll probably ever see. Yeah, that man got some ungodly power that man possesses. So that was Rozenstruik, got the KO or TKO, whatever you want to call it, literally at the end of the 5th round with 4 seconds left remaining, and probably sets himself up for a pretty big fight. Moving on, co-main event. Cynthia Calvillo, who came in, 4 pounds overweight?
Yep.
I think.
Like,
something
like 4.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Calvillo versus Marina Rodriguez. Despite the whole weight debacle, I was still really looking forward to this fight. Marina Rodriguez in the UFC has been pretty fun to watch for this kind of like brief time she's been here. I actually didn't. Hold up, was this the fight? 'Cause there were 2 draws on this. Just spoiler alert, this ended in a draw. I can't remember if this was... What was the other fight that ended with a draw? One of the draws I didn't have a problem with, and the other one I was like, yeah, I don't know.
Song Yadong versus Cody Stamann. I was fine with both of them. CBH.
I cannot remember. Oh, you know what? No. This was the one I was okay with. I don't think I hated the Yadong one. I felt like that one you could have picked a winner, I guess. This one I could see the draw because that 3rd round for Calvillo was so.
That was a big round. That was
a huge round. But I kind of got what I expected from this fight, even though I didn't think Calvillo was going like go super ham in that last round. But boy, Rodriguez, man, she is fun to watch when the hands and feet and knees and elbows get to working. I love fighters who take like opportune moments to punish people. Like anytime they got close and clinched, she's clinching and a knee is coming. You're catching a knee, you're catching an elbow, and it's not like a little pitter-pat strike like I'm trying to kill you, trying to get you out of here. She need Calvillo a crazy number of times.
Dragged her head into her knee. Like,
yes. Like
she is just a freaking monster when she gets her hands on you like that.
Yeah, like she is not trying to like win a decision. Like, I'm trying to take you out. Yeah, she need Calvillo a ton of times in the clinch, dragging her head down, just blasting her with knees. Caught her with a couple of nice elbows that stunned her when she would work those into her combinations. Had the front kick going. Like, she really one of those fighters that, like, when she strikes, she's firing on all cylinders. It is not just a simple jab or 1-2. Like, she's hitting you with
it's
everything.
like watching it's like watching a snowball. It's the snowball effect. It's like she gets going downhill quick.
Yeah. The situation escalates. It goes from 0 to 60 in a second. Like, but props to Calvillo, man, because she had to weather some bad moments. Like, Calvillo striking has gotten better, but obviously it ain't on Rodriguez level. Like, that's not somebody you really just want to stand and trade with.
Yeah, but the grappling.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Rodriguez not so great on the ground. She did early on, when she got taken down, she did a good job of getting back to her feet. But in that 3rd round, like, Calvillo was just dead set on keeping her on the ground and refused to let her up. and beat the crap out of her from on the ground. Like and you managed to get that 10-8 round to get the fight to a draw.
Yeah, and like what was crazy about that third round when Calvillo took her down? I think I actually counted. From the time she got the takedown, she controlled Rodriguez up until like the last 44 seconds of the fight. Like she literally had control for like a solid 3.5 minutes, and she was landing ground and pound from like every position she was in. She was either on the back. At one point, she got full mount. She had like half guard. No matter where she was or what position she was in, she was beating Rodriguez up. And maybe even at one point during like that last ground and pound flurry, I don't want to say she was close to a stoppage, but she landed like 4 or 5 really hard shots in a row. And I was like, oh, I hope Rodriguez ain't like, I hope she's not about to go out. But she ended up getting up with like 40 seconds left. But yeah, this was like a classic striker versus grappler, and I guess they canceled each other out. we got a draw. It was an awesome fight, man. Despite the whole weight thing, two fighters I really do enjoy watching. Marina Rodriguez is so fun to watch, man. She is amazing to watch. Would you like to see them run this back, or should they go their separate ways?
Well, let me take a quick look at the rankings real quick, because it's not like this wasn't a fight where I was like, winner gets a title shot. It was more like winner gets somebody in the top 10. Which they both already had. Well, not both. I should say. Well, no, Tisha Torres was in the top 10, so yeah. I mean, I don't see why they can't run it back. They're still like 9 and 10 right next to each other. What's Claudia Gadelha doing?
I want to say she has a fight lined up. I could be wrong. I feel like she does.
Like, I remember she had that really disappointing fight with Randa Marcos, but I don't remember her getting anything announced after that. She was supposed to fight Marina Rodriguez on this card.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so she rushed her. Yeah, so I say run it back, why not? Nina Ansaroff is taking the year off. Joanna Jędrzejczyk's fighting for a title. Tatiana Suarez is on the shelf. Lord knows what's happening with Rose Namajunas. And neither one of them really earned that fight, to be honest. Didn't Jessica Andrade get a fight announced? No, she called out Michelle Waterson. I mean, if neither one of them are gonna fight, if they're not gonna fight each other, Michelle Waterson would be a nice little would be a nice opponent for either one. Yeah, so like I don't see why you can't run it back. I think it was a fun ass fight.
Yeah. This is not yet. I don't think anybody complains if we get a rematch. But awesome fight for both. Hopefully next time Calvillo can get the weight situation handled. But great performance from both, man. You if you're a fan of either, you left that fight happy. Well, maybe not for Calvillo because of the weight, but everything else you left happy. But that was a fire co-main event. Really enjoyed that fight. Moving on. Talk about continuing the theme of unfortunate events. Ben Rothwell versus Stefan Struve.
What a shit show.
This was heavyweight MMA, man. And Dan Murgliata. I like Struve, man. I've always been a Struve fan. Now I was hurt because I was ready to have my jokingly Struve better than Stipe post. I was ready to have him on the fly if Struve would have won. I was ready to throw some jokes out there, but my moment was it never got to happen because Ben Rothwell and nut kicks. God, this fight was this was like the debacle of debacles. I'll let you head this one off. How did you how did you observe this fight?
So Ben Rothwell kicked Stefan Struve in the nuts in the first round. Struve had on the ground, writhing in pain. They had to get the doctor to check on him. He took the whole 5 minutes, but decided that you know what? Well, no. He did not decide. The DC crowd was booing him while he was on the ground, and anytime he made a move to get up, they started cheering, which is trash.
Yeah. Keep it classy, DC.
But you know, he went forward with the fight. He was having a little bit of success, but you could tell like he was struggling. Then the second round rolls around, and Ben Rothwell proceeds to kick Stefan Struve in the balls again. And Dan Murgliata, this is towards the end of the round. Dan Murgliata goes to Stefan Struve, who is again on the ground, grabbing his groin in pain, and says, "There's only 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the round, and to be honest, you're winning both of them." At which point he covers his microphone. He covers his microphone because he realizes what he just said. And talks Stefan Struve into continuing with the fight, despite the fact that he is in obvious pain. He does take a point from Ben Rothwell, but it doesn't end up mattering because when they restart the fight, Stefan Struve hurts his leg on a check kick, and Ben Rothwell corners him against the cage and proceeds to knock him out. Like, Dan Murgliata, like, he should be brought before the whatever say athletic commission and just screamed at for like 15 minutes because that was garbage.
I'm all for keeping it real, but like, bro, you can't say that. You can't say that. Like it'd be one thing if that was Struve's cornerman, and even that still probably would have been in bad taste. But it's like your cornerman, so all right, whatever, coach, whatever. But like, bro, you're the ref. It's not like you have, or you shouldn't have, a vested interest in who wins this fight or if the fight continues. That ain't your job. Like, that's not what you're here for. You're supposed to be protecting this man. I mean, you can let him know his options. Like, I get that part of it. Like, there was another way to say what he said, but it was just the way in which he said it. It came off like I'm trying to convince you to keep going. But there was another way to say, like, listen, you know, you could have just explained it like, hey, you can either, you know, if you can't continue, well, I don't know if it would have been a DQ or no contest. I don't know what they would have did at the time, but, you know, if you don't continue, it'll be a no contest, or if you do continue, you know, so on and so forth. It was just, yeah, like the way he said it, just, yeah, you can't say that, bro. That's not a good look. And I felt terrible for Struve because, for one, he was having a pretty decent fight. Like, he had a lot of good leg kicks going, very kick heavy offense. Good leg kicks, good body kicks. He jabbed a little bit. Wish he'd have jabbed a little more, but that's Stefan Struve's like entire career. But like he had some good things going offensively, and actually like right before that first nut shot, he caught Rothwell with a pretty good head kick. So he was putting things together, pretty decent in there. And it's like he's having a pretty solid fight, and then this happens, and it's just, I felt terrible for Struve because I felt like it was kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's like, obviously if you're a fighter, like you come to win. I don't want to draw. I don't want to no contest. I'm trying to get this W. But in his situation, it's like you either don't continue, and it's probably a no contest, so you don't win. Or if you do continue and you keep fighting, obviously you're compromised now. So it's like, pick your poison. And like, I get it, like he probably wants to go. It's like I really want to get this win, but it's like, at what cost? And now the fight probably should have been stopped after that second nut kick. I don't really know what the doctor was saying. I didn't really hear him a whole lot. I just kind of heard Murgliata. I don't know. They maybe probably should have just stopped this. Like, we could have just stopped this fight and ran this back on another card. Instead of now the fight continues, Struve is obviously compromised, and then, insult to injury, just the way the fight ended, Obviously, I mean, good on Rothwell. He checked the leg kick, and, he did what he needed to do to get the finish, but the situation as a whole, just the optics doesn't look good. Like, it doesn't look good at all. That'll be like, you look at Rothwell's record, and it's like, yeah, we kind of got to put an asterisk on that one, because that was shenanigans. Like, pure shenanigans. He said anything about, like, protesting this win? I haven't seen anything. I don't know if he can.
No,
but...
I haven't seen anything for Struve. I could check real quick. This isn't the only heavyweight fight this weekend that ended up with some dude getting hit in the nuts a lot in the fight. We should also note this is Stefan Struve coming out of retirement for this fight. Yeah.
Yeah. Life.
But yeah, no, I don't see anything. What was I gonna say? Remember, what's his name? I'm garbage at well, he's not Russian. He's Belarusian. So do you remember Andrei Gerasimchuk? Andrei Gerasimchuk.
Can't say I do.
He is the last man to have beaten Rico Verhoeven. After Rico Verhoeven won the heavyweight title in Glory, he went to China and proceeded to get beat by this Belarusian man in Kunlun fight. He came back from China and won a bunch of fights in a row or whatever. But he's the last man to beat Rico Verhoeven. Glory's been trying to get him to come fight for them for years now. He finally got around to coming, and he ended up getting kneed in the balls by Bruno Chavez from Brazil 1 minute into the fight, and it was ruled a no contest, and he is probably never coming back. So, just a little fun fact for you guys about this past weekend and why I said heavyweight has had an odd weekend. But beside the point, Ben Rothwell, TKO, 4:57 mark of the second round. Tragic.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Justice for Struve. I don't know, man. I don't know. That is the suit. I would not have been mad if, like, we would have found out, like, 5 minutes later he just went in the back and, like, went on, like, a rampage. Just tore everything apart. Because that is the absolute worst way to lose a fight. But,
So,
yeah.
To a little bit more uplifting. Well, I don't even know if it's uplifting, but it definitely was absolutely effing nuts. Aspen Ladd stops Yana Kunitskaya in the third round. 30-something seconds in. Should we talk about the first two rounds of this fight first? Or should we just go to the craziness?
Well, you know what? No, the first couple rounds I got some notes worth a mention because that for a second I thought Ladd was gonna lose this fight because that moment in the first, and obviously like I think the biggest, I was gonna say the biggest difference in this fight was Ladd's grappling, but she ended up knocking her out. But that moment where Ladd had Kunitskaya down and she starts her whole ground and pound, and she's like screaming, like literally, because that was in the first round, I think, right? She was like the whole ground and pound while she's like barking at Kunitskaya.
Yeah, I believe that was in the first round. Just straight up DMX style barking. as she is pounding on Kunitskaya from her back. And it's just like she seems legitimately angry.
I thought she was gonna lose because like, oh, you're doing too much. I could feel it. She was about to lose position. Because I was watching like, what did she do? Why are you so mad? Like, did she say something to you while y'all were down there? Like, you're irrationally angry right now. But y'all in a reverse position, but it didn't really mean anything. Second round, I'm trying to remember what that. You know what? I felt like the second round to me was a premonition to the knockout because Aspen Ladd in the second round kind of almost did the same thing she did in the third. She came right out the gate, like, swinging. She didn't waste any time. No touch gloves, like, as soon as she just plowed forward. So I thought Kunitskaya would have been a little more wary or maybe ready or just, I don't know. But I guess she wasn't. The smoke came and her detector wasn't on. She caught all the smoke.
Dude, like, her coach, who, I think he talked about how they have, like, the weird-ass relationship. Because, like, he's been her coach since she was, like, 13, and they also started dating when she was, like, 19. He's, like, 30-something.
Yeah, see, what's his name? Is that the Bucho?
No, that was Cynthia Cavilla's coach.
Oh, okay.
God, what's his name?
I saw people yelling at some coach on this card. I can't remember if that
It was Justin Buchholz, because Justin Buchholz is weird dude, not good, but yeah, no, like, so they have like a very weird relationship. So he starts like not screaming at her, but like he's trying to motivate her in the corner, and he's not giving her technical advice. He's just screaming, "Go fucking get her, kill her, beat her in the face, punch her in the fucking face." And he's doing it like 50 times in a row to the point where like DC and Paul Felder have to comment on it, because we didn't see it. We didn't see it until I didn't see it until they posted it on Twitter, used the UFC account. But like some of the people from Press Row were like tweeting about it. And then 30 seconds later, Aspen Ladd just tags the shit out of Yana Kunitskaya, charges at her, like straight up, like runs at her, and hits her with a left hook that puts her down, and she proceeds to get on top and beat the crap out of her until the ref is like, "No, you're done."
Yeah.
Wow,
Was it me, or did Kunitskaya not have, like, enough? I felt like she was really, like, content.
She only has one gear.
Yeah, there was I didn't really sense a lot of urgency. Like, if they stood and traded, Kunitskaya had some moments where she was doing pretty good on the feet. And then she would clinch against the cage and be really content to just kind of just sit there, land some knees or, But there was no, like, second gear. Like, it was just kind of, she was really streamlined.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah, like, she was, and here's the thing, like, Aspen Ladd, the only place that she was going to beat Kunitskaya heading into this fight, at least in most of our minds, was if she got into the clinch and took her down, because she's not a great, like, she doesn't have a shot. She doesn't have a great shot. I think she got one off here, like a double leg, but she doesn't have like a great double leg takedown. She doesn't have like a single leg game. She's very much a clinch wrestler. Kunitskaya did a great job of like neutralizing that at points. Like Kunitskaya herself is really strong, really big for the division. Was able to push Ladd into the cage, but she never broke. Like, she was just content to sit along the cage, pushing Ladd into the cage, but not actually doing much with it. Other than some like small knees to the thighs or to the stomach, like, and never even like really hard stuff. Aspen Ladd, on the other hand, like, you can tell, like, also to a degree only has one gear, but that gear is basically the same gear that she ended the fight on, which is I'm just going to do my hardest and see what happens. And she got a couple takedowns, and like we said in that first round, she beat the crap out of Kudryavtskaya from while barking at her, which was something. But like that is just not. The striking is better, but it's not good. Like she has Misa Cirkunov syndrome, where like she has that metal rod in her back on her when she punches, and it makes all her punches like awkward and loopy, and it's really weird. And like they look telegraphed. You know what they look like? They look like they're moving through water. And like it's not like it won her the fight here, but like just charging forward and bull rushing people only works when you're Ronda Rousey and you have like an athletic grappling game. And while that is a physical presence, I wouldn't call her like a quick twitch athlete.
Right.
So, she's going to run into problems with women who can tag her while she's closing the distance, like she did against Jermaine Duran to me. Like she kind of did against Sijara Eubanks. I'm really hoping her striking comes around, or she like get like something improves like with her wrestling, because she is very talented when she's on top, and like she's violent. She can hit pretty damn hard apparently. She is a very good topside grappler, but like the components aren't there. It's like Cynthia Calvillo, like you see the areas in which they shine and they look like a superstar, but the ways in which they get to the ways in which they get to those areas of the fight are just not available to them against higher levels of competition because they're so deficient at other areas of the game.
Yeah, still some fine tuning to be done. I respect the attitude.
Oh hell yeah! Like
that's
like she was
that's
winning
a part
the
of
fight.
the game.
That's the thing. Like, and her corner was like, "No, you're losing. You have to go out and knock her out in the first minute of the fight, or you lose."
Hey, yeah, I respect that dog in her. No pun intended. Because the barking, but I respect it, man. Like that because that's a part of fighting. Like not everybody has that. Some people can be like kind of chill and I ain't gonna say lackadaisical, but you don't have to be that to like win. But for some fighters, like that works. Like you just gotta have that extra. That would lead me to believe that she would be somebody kind of like in this fight. Well, even if the coach has put it in her head that if she thinks that she's losing, then all right, I gotta claw my way back in this, and I love to see that. So, yeah, I respect it. I respect it. Keep that energy. Just gotta fine tune the skills a little bit. But we'll see. Still a solid win. A nice violent win. So I appreciated it. So shout out to Aspen Lad. TKO Yana Kudryavtskaya. And round 3. Moving on. Cody Stamann versus Yadong Song at bantamweight. Another fight on this card I was really looking forward to. All hail bantamweight. So many great fighters in this division.
And we got 2 really good bantamweight fights to open up the main card here.
Yeah. I appreciated the ordering of this fight. We got to the smoke real early in this main card. No, this is a fun one. Kind of as expected. Song Yadong on the feet. He's gonna lay hands. He's gonna get his strikes off. Able to catch Stamann with a lot of good shots. The grappling, I was interested to see how that was going to play out. I was actually really impressed that, especially I felt like in the earlier half of the fight, Stamann would get, and Stamann he landed some really nice takedowns. Some of like angles and stuff he was cutting at to get takedowns I thought were really, really beautiful. But I was really surprised at how a few situations where Yadong was either able to like sweep and get himself back in position or just find his way back to his feet. because a lot of the takedowns I thought from Stamen were really good, and he was still finding ways to get himself out of bad spots up until I felt like the takedown started happening more towards like the second half of the fight. But it was a good back and forth scrap. I felt like Yadong, in terms of, I'd have to see the stats, but I'm probably gonna say Yadong landed more of the strikes and probably the harder hits, but Stamen's grappling maybe gave him a lot of control. So maybe that's kind of why we got a draw. I'm not enraged at the draw, I guess. I didn't think it was as close as the Calvillo Rodriguez fight was. Oh, you know what though? You know what? No, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not mad at the draw on this because I forgot. Yadong had the illegal knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cost him. Okay, no. Yeah, never mind. The draw was fine. That was literally, yeah. Because I think I actually did go back and score the fight. Because I gave Yadong the first 2 rounds, even though I thought the second was really close. But Stamen landed a lot of takedowns, but didn't really do a ton of damage. And Yadong ended up ending the second round on top for about the last probably 10 to 15 seconds. So I edged him the second round, and Stamen had a really good third round, so I gave him the third, which would have came to a 28. I can't do math. 28-28.
Yeah, like I see a lot of people like they're like, oh, this was like a terrible decision. And it's just like, no, Yadong won the first 2 rounds of the fight.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it was DC fucking have like a fucking math breakdown on this. He's like, how did they give Yadong the first round? We're like, do you not remember how Yadong got that fucking illegal knee? Where he had Corey Stamen in a deep ass guillotine to the point where Corey Stamen gave up on the double leg he was shooting.
Right. Yadong was all the way down on that guillotine.
Yeah,
too.
And then he ends the round on top, landing that big elbow right across Stamen's face. Like, and y'all want to give him the round because he got 2 takedowns? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, because like he was like, DC was like, oh, all Stamen needs to do is win one round, and he wins the fight. And
That's not how math works.
Yeah, hold up, like, am I missing something? Did he lose 2 points? Like, yeah, that was weird.
The decision was fine. The fight was fun. It was a fun fight. The Yadong got the better Stamen on the feet. Was able to reverse positions in the first 2 rounds when Stamen managed to get him down. He showed some not great takedown defense, but showed a really good bounce back. When his hips would hit the ground, he would be able to get to an angle, get back up pretty effectively. Stamen was able to get that 3rd round, was able to get him down and keep him there. Was this no? I'm thinking of the fun fight. But yeah, no, it was a good fight. Really good fight. Really fun fight. It sucks because that knee that Yadong landed, I believe Stamen only had 1 leg down, 1 knee down. He had the other leg like sprawled out, so he was technically on his feet. That should be legal. I'm sorry. Like, unless you are down, it should be freaking legal.
Yeah.
Rules are stupid, as we learned.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to follow them to win fights.
Yeah. But it is what it is. We got the rules we got, so we gotta live with them, I guess. But no, great fight. Oh my God, I'm scrolling through Twitter and that Overeem lip. Let me get off of here. I don't want to see that. But no, great fight from both, man. Great fight from both. Yadong continues to impress to be only, 21? Kid's really good, man.
No. So, I think we talked about this before. Song Yadong's like 25.
Really?
Like, he's been claiming he's been 20 for like 5 years now.
I don't remember.
Because
well, you know
Song Yadong fought back in Rough, and Rough hasn't existed since like 2014. So unless he was fighting when he was 14 years old, which I guess is entirely possible, Wait, no. Let's see. WFL. Yeah, Ruff was 20. He was fighting in Ruff as early as 2013. So that's like 6 years ago. So he was fighting as a 16-year-old, which is possible. It's not insane. But he was claiming he was 20 back then, too. So he either lied back then or he's lying now, and I don't know which one it is. It makes me angry.
I don't know. The allegedly young kid.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's no further than in his mid-20s, but
yeah, we just don't know. He might be closer to 30 than we think. But no, he's really good, man. He's I'm interested to see like what his ceiling is. But we'll see. Now, great fight from Stamen and Song Yadong. Ended in a majority draw. And the last fight on the main card, kicked it off with Rob Font versus Ricky Simone. Smoke. Smoke. There was so much smoke in this fight. Just a lot of, man. I thought that there were a couple moments in this fight where I thought Rob Font was going to uppercut that man's head off. But Ricky Simone has a pretty good chin. He took him on the chin pretty well. But nah, man, I love watching Font's boxing. Like he can really put together some really good combinations. I love the use of the uppercut, splitting Simone's guard. He caught him like rushing in a couple times, and he would throw it. There was one round. Pretty sure that was his fight. He was landing some really good body shots. But Simone with the grappling, man, he ate some shots. Ate some to take some, but was able to get Font down. Has that nice high crotch slam that he had. I can't remember if that was in the first or the second. Kind of his way to like kind of even out the fight. And I want to say it was out of the third round where he was actually hanging with Font on the feet. He had some. He caught Font with a couple of nice shots on the feet, but Font was ripping some really good body shots. Just his boxing just really fun to watch. I think Simone probably had too little too late. I thought this was a really close fight, but I think Font just did so much work with his hands early. And I remember Simone having a pretty strong second half of the fight in like that third round, but kind of just a little too. Like he was right there, man. He was really close, but you know, when you get uppercutted and jabbed and hooked that many times, it's kind of hard to get the comeback going. But no, it was an awesome fight. This is how you kick off a card. Definitely how you kick off a card.
yeah, friggin' like offensively, I think the dude's name is Greg Rebello. He's the boxing coach of Rob Font, or I think he's the head coach of Rob Font and Calvin Kattar and up and coming UFC fighter Randy Costa, and I really like the way he puts together their boxing games. Just like defensively, there's a lot of work to be done, but like offensively, when they get their jabs going, they are just able to like they feel like natural punchers, which is something we don't get a lot of in MMA. Like there's a lot of rope punching. There's a lot of guys who feel like, you know, you can tell they came to fighting late in life because they don't have that natural flow you have like when you're a kid. It's like if you tried to teach somebody to dribble basketball when they're 25 versus when they're 5. Yeah, it's noticeable. But like Rob Font and Calvin Kattar, they just like there's just a natural fluidity to the way they throw, and it leads to like some beautiful combination work. Props to Ricky Simone. He took basically every jab Rob Font threw his way. Got a couple of big takedowns. Was not able to do much with any of them. But he did manage to hurt Rob Font once to the body with the mean left hook. It's like a really nasty one that really shook him. But Font recovered. Came back out, did his thing in the third round. Like he was. Simone does not move his head off the center line like at all, no matter what punch he throws. And the only real thing he does to like defend himself is like to change levels. And Font was just like, okay, I'm just gonna hit you with this like this massive winging uppercut every time you try, and it landed a bunch of times. I'm like, uh, Faber must have hit Simone really freaking hard to knock him out.
Right. Because those uppercuts were landing flush. Like, he was catching them pretty much every time he threw it. Yeah, he just ate it.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was a fantastic fight. Props to Rob Font. That's the best performance of his UFC career that I can remember thus far. Let me just maybe this is better than the Almeida win. Yeah, great win for Font. I'm not sure if he'll ever be a contender at 135. Honestly, I kind of doubt it because he kind of lacks that like it factor that like guys like for example Marlon Moraes or like a Marlon Moraes has or like an Aljamain Sterling. But he is going to be a solid top 10 bantamweight for a long time because he's just too fundamentally sound not to be.
Yeah, when you got those kind of hands, yeah, he's gonna give anybody problems. You need it, like, because not everybody has that kind of chin that Simone has, where apparently he can just take it. Well, apparently not from Faber. Apparently Faber got some old man strength still, but I think a lot of other dudes who don't have that kind of chin, those uppercuts probably would have took them out. They would have been out of there. But no, props to Rob Font. That was an amazing fight. And props to Ricky Simone. They both put on a really, really good performance. So that was the main card, and it was a roller coaster. Like, out the gate, it was great. We got two really good bantamweight fights. And you had Aspen Ladd on the scene barking at people. And Rothwell with the nut check. And, you know, the Rodriguez-Calvillo fight with the missed weight, but it still turned out to be an amazing fight. And then Reem and Rozenstruik ended in devastating fashion, to say the least. But no, overall it was a good main card. Like, we had a hiatus from the UFC for like 2 weeks. This seemed like a card they'd come back on. We had great fights, we had shenanigans, referee, questionable moments. Everything MMA has to offer. I think this card pretty much gave it to us for the most part. So, main card was cool. Moving on to the prelim spotlight, we can just pick a fight or two. Any standout prelims you want to mention real quick?
Tim Means is fucking great. Yes, like Tim Means versus Thiago Alves. Tim Means got the submission win like halfway through the first round via guillotine. Like just Tim Means trying to collapse the pocket on Thiago Alves and Alves kicking him to the body 2 or 3 times and just marking him up was like really fun. Means realizes that Alves is only going to beat him if he kicks him. Just decides to continue to pour all his effort into moving forward. Tags him with a straight left hand that puts him on the ground, beats him up a little bit along the cage on the ground, and then knocks up a guillotine. Really solid performance from Tim Means. Nice little bounce back after, you know, almost knocking out Nico Price, only to get knocked out himself. Like Tim Means, one of the figureheads of the violent weight section of the welterweight division. So, props to him for getting that win. Did you have one you wanted to talk about?
That very first fight of the card. Mahmoud Murdov versus Trevor Smith.
Yeah, Trevor Smith is never going to be the same.
Bro, that that is one of the nastiest finishes I've ever seen, man. I mean, first props to Murdov for well, he was doing a lot of movement, a lot of bouncing around and just kind of beating Trevor Smith up. Like, I know Trevor Smith is a tough dude, but I'm like, man, you got to do something, bro, because he is in here he is just doing whatever he wants. Like, he's really just kind of letting it loose, flying off at the handle, and like everything he throws just seems to work. But no, I was impressed with Muradov, just all the movement, just the way he was mixing up his strikes. He was in the zone, man. That man was in like the Matrix, and that finish was whoosh. I think it was he ducked. Muradov ducked down, did a right to the body, came back with a left hook, and then finished with an overhand right, and just like Trevor's body, his body flew in like 3 different directions as he fell. Like his torso went one way, but his arms flew the other, and then his head flew the other. It was like a video game glitch, like the way his body just like collapsed into itself. And it's like, yeah, like you say, you're not gonna be the same after that. That was a nasty finish. So yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to Mahmoud Muradov. And I guess real quick, I'll just run through. Did you have any others? I'll just run through these just to read the results.
Just really quick shout out to Virna Jandaroba, former Invicta strawweight champion, got a win over Mallory Martin, rear naked choke in the second round. Just after her UFC debut against Carla Esparza, which was not, she lost, but she showed some skill. She came out, had some struggles with Martin on the feet, but was able to get her down and get the submission. So props to her.
At jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
But just to read the results, starting back from the top from the prelims, Tim Means, guillotine choke over Thiago Alves. Billy Quarantino beat the life out of this poor man, Jacob Kilburn. Got a triangle choke in the 3rd round. That was probably like the most one-sided matchup of the night. Bryce Mitchell got a twister over Matt Sales, which was kind of wild. Joe Selecki got a unanimous decision over Matt Wyman. If we had more time, I would comment on that fight. But I'll just say I'm not interested in seeing Matt Wyman going into 2020. I'll just leave it at that. Hold up, no, I gotta say, man, Joe Selecki telling Matt Wyman said, "What you're gonna do?" Joe Selecki said, "I'm gonna put you out of a job." That is the most disrespectful thing I've ever heard. But hey, man, if you talking trash, you gotta be able to take it. But yeah, Selecki got that win. Like you said, Virna Jandaroba got a rear naked choke over Mallory Martin. And as I mentioned earlier, Mahmoud Muradov got the KO over Trevor Smith. So that was UFC Washington D.C. Pretty good card. It definitely was not void of shenanigans. There were some questionable moments and just there was some wildness happening. We had 2 draws. We had nut shots and Dan Murgliata running wild. There was a lot going on, but it's MMA. After a 2-week hiatus, I guess the MMA gods had to come back and remind us the chaos they can cause. So, it is what it is. But there were a lot of good fights, though. So I was happy. It was a good weekend of fights. And the Joshua Ruiz fight was pretty good. So, solid weekend of fights. Upcoming next week, last pay-per-view of the year, UFC 245, headlined by Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. Also on the card, man, you got Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski, Amanda Nunes versus Jermaine Durandamy, Marlon Moraes versus Jose Aldo, Mike Perry versus Jeff Neal, Petr Yan versus Uriah Faber, Caitlin Vieira versus Irene Aldana. I don't know why Matt Brown and Ben Saunders are fighting, but that's the thing. Brandon Moreno's on the card against Kai Kara France, Jessica Ai versus Vivian Arejo, Daniel Tamor versus Chase Hooper. Lots of good things going on this card. I'm really, really looking forward to this. These 3 title fights are going to be really interesting. These 3 title fights are going to be really, really, really interesting. Yeah, I'll just keep it at that. I think there's gonna be a lot to talk about after this card.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a lot to talk about. So that's going down next week. Is Bellator? They got anything?
I think they're done until the
Oh yeah, they're done until the 20th. Well, they have a Salute the Troops. All right, they got a couple more cards. They got Salute the Troops. That's not next week though. So Bellator is not back until the 20th. PFL is done till the 31st. So one championship got going on. Hold up. All right, we got one championship. Legendary Warriors. I wasn't aware of what's going on in this card. Let me see who's on here.
Is that like one of their hero cards?
Oh, they don't.
Yeah.
Well, on Sherdog, they don't have anything listed, so I can't.
Yeah, I was looking around while you were talking about the UFC card. I couldn't find anything about the one card because I just figured it was important.
All right, so it's blank. Whatever. So, I guess the UFC will pretty much own next weekend. Any boxing going on?
Yes. So from MSG, we have on Saturday, December 14th, Terrence Crawford. He'll be defending his WBO's welterweight title against Edgar Cavaliauskas. That was. I think I just had an aneurysm. Basically, I don't even know if he's a mandatory. I think it was just somebody on the WBO list who they could find to fight Crawford. But that'll be happening. But on that same card, we have Teofimo Lopez. I believe he's going for his. Is he going? Yes, he's going for his first world championship. He'll be fighting for the IBF lightweight title against Richard Comey, with the winner possibly facing Vasily Lomachenko. So that's worth paying attention to.
There we go. Who's the gentleman that Crawford's fighting? Is he you know if he's good? Is he gonna get sacrificed?
He is a sacrifice. He is a sacrifice. Unfortunately, PBC still owns all the welterweights, and they do not play fair. And they went to their partner Fox and had Fox say that Fox does not recognize the WBO the championship as a real championship, which is I don't know the backstory behind that other than PBC made Fox put out that statement. So they're just going to continue to pretend that Terrence Crawford doesn't exist. Yeah, so that sucks. I didn't see any kickboxing worth mentioning either, so it might be just the UFC and Terrence Crawford next week.
All right. Well, that's good enough. And I mean, we're going to close out this year pretty strong.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to get to later.
Yeah. The end of this year and probably the beginning of next year there'll be a lot to talk about. There'll be plenty to talk about. So yeah, that's what we got upcoming next week. So we can end closing out fight recommendations. During the this whole UFC break, I've been on I think YouTube is the only website with algorithms that somewhat understands me. Because they've been recommending me kickboxing fights, and they've all been fire. I've been watching a lot of Raz fights, and I went back to watch Rui Bata, the guy Tenshin Nasukawa fight, and I watched some of his fights and the promotion that he was in. So I've been in a really heavy kickboxing mode lately. So my fight recommendation, taking it back to 2007 K1 World Grand Prix, Badr Hari versus Remy Bonjanski. Boy, does Badr Hari hit extraordinarily hard.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did Remy just kind of, I don't say he ate the shots, but I know Badr Hari had to be thinking bro, I would have killed anybody else. And this man is still in my face. It was a really awesome fight. Really, really awesome fight. Two of the best kickboxers you'll probably ever see. And it was one of those fights where even though nobody got knocked down or knocked out, it was still a really fun fight to watch. And this is 07, this is prime Badr Hari. I think him and the Rico rematch is coming up. I feel like
Yep.
soon. Yeah.
Collision 2. It's
Yeah.
gonna be fun to watch how Rico hurts himself this time. Not Rico. Badr Hari hurts himself this time.
Yeah. We'll see.
Maybe we didn't talk about it, but Chris Eubank Jr. fought this past weekend. He fought Matt Korobov, and Matt Korobov in like the second round ended up dislocating his shoulder. But word is that apparently it wasn't a shoulder dislocation so much as it was he tore his whole entire bicep in the fight.
Jeez.
Yeah, so maybe that'll happen.
Yeah. We'll see. But this fight is on YouTube. You can YouTube it. The whole fight is up there. That's Badr Hari versus Remy Bonjanski. Really amazing fight from both. Two of the best kickboxers you'll ever see. That was from the K1 World Grand Prix 2007. Got any recommendations? Anybody we should be looking out for?
We didn't get the chance to talk about it, but Gory 73 from Shenzhen, China, went down this past weekend. That's the same place in the same like arena that the that Weili Zhang won her title in actually. But Marat Grigorian defend his Gory lightweight championship against Elvis Gashi. It was a really good fight. It was a really strong performance by Grigorian, so it was really fun. Go watch that. And another little kickboxing nugget. You were mentioning that you were on a kickboxing run, spurt recently. K1 World Grand Prix 2019, Japan 3, whatever the hell they actually call it. So K1 held a card last November 24th or 5th or something like that. And they finally uploaded all the videos to their YouTube channel last week. Yes, so that has the latest Takaru fight. He fought Yuta Murakoshi. And it also features their featherweight championship tournament, the Grand Prix, which was won by this guy, Yuki Igawa, who knocked out all three of his opponents in the first round. So I would suggest you go watch those, because those are really cool to sit through. So yeah, go watch that.
Watch more kickboxing, man. Like, just watch more kickboxing. It's really fun. Especially the Japanese kickboxers, man. I don't think I've ever watched, like, a boring... Like, all these Rise fights I've been watching, like, I don't know any of these people. And all these fights are amazing.
Kickboxing is an easily digestible sport because it's and it's really quick because it's like 3-minute rounds, and they're only, like, a lot of the time it's only 3 minutes. I mean, it's only 3 rounds anyway, so...
Yeah, so go watch some kickboxing, man. That's your fight recommendation homework for the week. And before we officially exit for closing thoughts, I'll just mention this because I just got an ESPN notification about it for my college football fans. Playoffs are set. Number 1 LSU versus Oklahoma at number 4. On the other side of the bracket, number 2, Ohio State versus number 3, Clemson. All I have to say is Alabama isn't in the playoffs, therefore I don't care who wins, and I'm happy. There's no Alabama, which means it's a great day for me. But that'll be your college football playoffs. So, have fun. Bowl season is here. If you're a college football fan, bowl season's been, they're doing the conference championships now, but bowl season be popping. The scores be like 45 to 50. There's no defense. Everybody just scores like a boatload of points. It's a good time. That's your college football finals. Got anything for closing thoughts?
No. I'm out of thoughts. I'm ready to get this homework out the way so I can never do homework ever again.
All right, there we go. Yeah, we gotta get Anti-Colada. He's gotta do real world things. But yeah, so that's all we got for today's episode. Thank you guys for listening. As always, give this podcast a listen. SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Hit us up on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page as well as the Instagram page. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Serial Sensei. Follow the Anti-Cool on Twitter at GC Zeus. And be on the lookout. I meant to mention this real quick. We always do our award show. That'll be coming sometime, probably early 2020. And we've got an idea for another episode. I ain't going to tell you guys what it is, but it's something I don't think anybody else has ever done before, and we're going to do it. And you're going to be really mad at us because this is a near impossible task. But we're going to do it. I don't know when. I don't have the date picked out because this is going to require a lot of research, but I'm going to try to fit this somewhere also in the early 2020. But we got a really good, innovative episode, I think, idea that'll... You guys will get at some point, hopefully early 2020. So this is me trying to build up some hype, but just be on the lookout. It'll come. If you see me on Twitter, I've already talked about it. If you don't follow me on Twitter, then you'll find out when it happens. But we'll get to that bridge when we get there. But that's all we got for today. So as always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And until next time, we will catch you guys later.